we can manage it. So let's confirm again. We have reframe dependency already added, and we are in the board and CLJS. So there are two reframe files which are by default. You can create events .cljs, and then there is a subs.cljs. So events is basically for the event publications, and subs.cljs for subscribing to those events, right? 15% of subs, and they will also require I'm doing some silly typos here and there. We'll use the event.cljs as well, and we'll just rename it as events reframe.core is needed. Now, once the reframe is initialized, so the first thing we have to do is we have to create a subscription, and then we also have to create events. Now, the events is something where we will actually have our database. So whatever database we were creating here, we can move this database from here to the events. And I think the right way to go about is that I define an initialize or uh, base DB, and then we just take tiles out of this. The files. Okay, so we registered to an event DB, and we have to name this. So let's name it as initialize DB, which is normally a standard name which we give when you have to initialize a DB, right? Now this is the database. We can call it as DB, which will be passed here along with the event. So these are the two attributes which are passed into this function, and it says that I will return a base DB from here. Now base DB is nothing but this DB. This DB contains some basic information, which is what is the current type, what is the empty index of the type. We can add more as we move further. And then we have to create a subscription for this. Let's initialize. So since this is initialized, we have to also okay, I've removed the DB from here. So I should initialize to the subscription. So I should create a subscription as well for it. So ref.reg sub, and so I just need the tiles information at the moment. Tiles will be a function. I'll call it through a database, and what it will return is that from the DB. Now this DB is nothing but it is this base DB. From that, I'm saying I only need the tiles, and I can also create other subscription, but this is good enough for us to get started. And once we have this available, I want to require 15 subs as subs, and we are going to say that let's load it. We can subscribe to that as well, empty.NET index as well. Maybe I'll show you that. So where you are subscribing to this, where I will say subs dot, what was the, okay, so you have to be little, this is very tricky, remember. So you have to subscribe, and I have not called the reframe here, which is going to create a problem later. So better reframe .0, and now I'm going to subscribe it, and I'll say that I only want to subscribe to the tiles. Okay. Now this should give me the information what is needed, and for this we can, let's say, what is empty right now. It is compiling, let it compile. If it compiles successfully, then things will be better. So we have not initialized the database, so whenever the first time it is loading, we have to initialize the database as well. So this will mean that I have to this means that whenever first time I'm loading the application, it also need to do an event that the page is loading, which means I would need two things here. One is reframe, and then we also need 15 events as events. So why I will need that? Because whenever the render is getting called, I can call it before render, for dispatch. So whenever we are calling dispatching, at that point we are basically mentioning that I want to call events initialize DB, so that it can have the database initialized. And once the database is initialized, I will be able to access all these values from the DB on the fly, and we'll be able to see these getting rendered here. Now, how do we know, yeah, whether it is working or not? So it is not working. So no subscription handler registered for 15 puzzle subs title. That's interesting. Let's see what wrong we are doing. So I have created a subscription which is for 15 puzzle subs, and there is named as, okay, let's try. So the namespace resolution, if not done correctly, can lead to such problems. Okay, that happened. However, still there is something which is wrong, not leading or not rendering my data. Let's debug further. So tiles is getting the database tiles, and then when the board is rendering it, it is subscribing to this. And okay, so since it's a RATM, it will not contain the data in the dereferenced format. You have to dereference it using the @ annotation. And once that is done, I was expecting it to work. rf subscribe subtiles, and this is, oh, now the tiles is not needed because we are already getting the tiles directly. So this is also not required. Wait, this rendered correctly. How we can be sure whether all this is coming from my um, data which I have defined in my events DB or in this initialized DB? There are a couple of ways to check it. One is if I reduce this range to a smaller number and I reload it, you will see that it is only loading 9 elements. The maximum is 8, starting with 0. So one thing we can be sure is that it is reading from this place only. Empty tile index is 0. Ideally, we should compute this because we know that the empty tile is the one which is having value as 0, right? So we can maybe write a simple function which can take tiles as an input and give me the empty tile index. So let's write a simple function and get empty tile index, and I'll pass all the tiles to it. Now I'll use the thread first macro. Thread first might work. I need to use the tiles. From the tiles, I will filter using, okay, so thread first will not work in this case because thread first will mean that this is my first argument which is going to pass. So I have to use the thread last macro. And I will say I'll filter wherever item is equal to 0, which is the label. So the second of the percentage, right? Give me the first of, that's it. Get empty tile index of the tiles. Okay, so you are getting, okay, you are still not getting the index directly. You have first element, okay, and now you got the index. So in this case, if we look tiles as a separate entity, you will see the one which is having index 0 is index number 4. So the label is 0 from the 4. And this function is going to provide me, and we can use this function here. So you get empty tile index, and I'll just plus all the tiles here, right? Now there's a pure function, it's not going to change its behavior until unless someone specifically going to touch any piece of code here. It's already been a couple of hours, I believe, now, since I have been struggling to solve this. Tiles is done, this is done. What next now? Now we have, so whenever there is we should also implement a simple thing. A counter for any clicks, there should be a counter, right? Whenever someone is clicking on something, there should be a counter in place. So we should add in my database, I think that would be helpful. Let counters starting with 0, and we'll create one event. Let's, and I will call it as update click. What this should do. So it's a function call which we are going to do with the update click, or just simply update the database. Simply update the database, I think we can log file, and then we say that the update db which click counters and updated by increment function, right? So this will update the db with an increment function, but update click need to be invoked when this will be invoked, and someone need to listen to the value to display it on the screen. So let's create a subscription which we can use to listen. Right now, click counter, I will call it. Click counters. I've called it as click counter only. Yeah. So this is a click counter. There is a board, and on the board, I have to emit this event. So up until now, I have been subscribing. Now I need to publish an event as well, which means that I have to import events namespace as well. Whenever the tile is clicked, you call the swap tile function. That's okay. Now you have to call rf dot dispatch. Would that be a good way to say that I have clicked on something. Now you have to dispatch an event, which is event slash what was the event name? Update counter. No? So this will be a good idea. Let's see. I should not have reloaded randomly. I'm kind of no event handler registered for update counter. Event handler is not registered for the update counter. Okay. So we have RF dispatch events update counter, the update click. So you have to be, yeah. So see, tile clicked, tile clicked, tile clicked, tile clicked. Now from where the tile clicked is coming? It is coming from here, which means that my click counter is incrementing somewhere. How I can see that is by introducing something in the, okay, I have to make my one more change. Define main layout. So the main layout will be a div. This div will contain a bold layout, and then it will contain a look. Define outer layout. What it does is it's a div which do nothing special, and it only says that it's a str like rf subscribe to subscript counter. That's it. Oh, that's not it. Main layout need to be invoked from here, right? Oh, we see click count here, incrementing case. So with every click, it is getting incremented now. We can beautify it further, but I think I'll not spend time on beautifying it. We can add, yeah, it's working. So with every click, the counter is now getting incremented, right? I should get rid of certain extra logs, which is now kind of going to pollute a lot of things. We can clean up everything later, but swap tile is something which is right now not doing anything and it's of no use. Right. So we have a tile click function which was invoked, and this tile click function basically dispatched an event to update the click counter. And when we see here, the update click counter is just updating the counter. Right? Now, few more things which we have to do here is we wanted to swap two elements there, right? So, okay, we should also display now that we have access to one more property which we were thinking to display earlier. If I show you here the empty tile index, right, which is the empty tile index. If I okay, so this is the empty tile index which I am going to use. And where I will show the empty tile index is that along with the click counter, I think it can be begin layout. I think I should call it as a begin layout. Yeah. So this will contain a lot of different things. One of the thing is what we have just displayed. Now we will say this is for the index and current amplifier index will be a subscription to the uh, what- okay, there is something which is very interesting that happened here. Um, yeah. Okay, current empty index is 12. This is the index 12. If I right now, nothing would happen because I'm not changing the current empty tile index.